Hey guys, welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm Road to BlizzCon North America July Open. I am Gillyweed, and joining me is Prosser for this cast, and we have Game 2 nearly ready, Anna.
Yeah, we had Late Night Legends and To Be Determined facing off last game, the first in a best of three. Late Night Legends, maybe the new blood, kind of the fresh faces, if you will, and definitely bringing us some innovation in terms of their draft and their strategies in the game. We saw them use the hunt for Illidan, which is a little bit rare. We also had them picking up Diablo as their warrior and Lili as their healer, which is something in terms of the current meta that we haven't seen quite as much. I was excited to see Diablo, Gilly, because he's a favorite of mine from the past.
I know, a blast from the past, unfortunately. Maybe not quite as interesting or as exciting as you would have hoped for. Poor Diablo hasn't seen a lot of play lately, but I'm really hopeful that we will get to see a lot more of him, as he's always really fun to get to cast.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping, I would like to see the development of new strategies that can really exploit some of the abilities of these heroes that we haven't seen as much in competitive play, and especially after the patch, we do see teams experimenting with heroes that whose faces we don't see quite as often. So I am not sure whether Late Night Legends will try something quite so deviant this time. They might go for something a little more standard, but I appreciate the try.
I do as well. We'll have to see what they decide to choose as we have started the draft, so we're going to hop over to that. And it does look like we're going to be on Sky Temple. Is this the first time we're seeing this battleground this weekend?
Yeah, I think it is.
Awesome. For those of you guys who are not aware of how Sky Temple works, the objective on this battleground is that there are going to be 3 different temples that are scattered throughout the lane. So one in the top, one in the middle, and then one in the very bottom of the battleground. Every once in a while, these are going to activate, and you want to stand on them, and the longer that you stand on them, the more lasers that they will shoot at your opponent's structures. So it's a little bit like Blackheart's Bay in that it's something that automatically attacks the structures just directly. That's the objective. There will be guardians that will spawn on these temples to try to stop you, and so you'll have to fight those, as well as your opponents who will be trying to push you off the temples as well. Capture enough of them, and you'll be able to take out their core, and it looks like both teams have chosen to ban Sylvanas and Johanna, so I do believe the same ones as last time.
Yeah, actually, it's exactly the same, and each team banned the same one as they did last time, which is kind of a bummer. I like watching Johanna and Sylvanas, but I certainly understand why these teams don't want to play against them.
Yeah, especially Sylvanas is just so powerful on these battlegrounds where the map objective directly attacks the structures like the temples here. Anytime you can quickly take out some structures like you can with Sylvanas, then that just means that you're putting more of the lasers on those higher experience giving and structures that will enable you to be able to push further in. So if you take out some towers with Sylvanas, then the temples directly attack the forts instead.
We're seeing a little bit of a reversal now with the first picks. We have Kael'thas going to Be Determined and Jaina going to Late Night Legends, which I believe is the reverse of what we saw the first picks be last time. And then Late Night Legends is going to follow that up with Uther. So last time he got banned out, this time they want to be sure he's playing for them.
Yeah, they really want to make sure that they're going to have Uther instead of that Lili. We love the little wandering panda, but the Uther is a little more standard. He's going to be able to put out some stuns. He also has some really great bursty heals and has some either more stuns from the Divine Storm, or what we see more often is the Divine Shield as his heroic ability, which will make somebody invulnerable for a few seconds, and that way you can kind of save somebody who might be on the brink of death, or even do things like make sure that a full channel of something gets to go off without being stunned out. Like a Strafe, for instance, from Vala is really nice to be able to throw that Divine Shield on.
Absolutely. We do see To Be Determined following up with Zagara, so prioritizing a specialist, which is not something we see too often. I think specialists we usually see picked in those last 2 picks. And then Anubarak is going to be the warrior for them. They did ban Anubarak out last time, thinking that Late Night Legends might pick him, and instead they went for Diablo, so we'll see whether they'll be going for that kind of warrior this time, but it's their turn to ban.
Yeah, now looking at what we have so far, To Be Determined doesn't have a support, so I think Late Night Legends might be benefited from banning one of those main supports. It looks like instead they really don't want to deal with the Butcher that To Be Determined put out last time, and I can't blame them. So they are at least going to be able to get rid of him, rid themselves of some of those melee assassins. To Be Determined now could maybe choose to ban a warrior, as Late Night Legends they haven't picked one up yet, and To Be Determined have. So that might be a possibility they could do. Maybe something like a Muradin. We see a lot of Muradin and Uther together. They're both pretty tanky and kind of provide a good front line when you've got somebody very squishy but high damage dealing like Jaina in the back lines.
Really dipping a little bit into their time pool to make that decision, they're going to ban Tyrael. So they were thinking about warriors, but they're not as concerned about Muradin as Tyrael, or maybe they're hoping that they can grab a dual warrior composition that might include a Nubarak and Muradin. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pretty surprised they chose to ban him, but maybe they're a little bit concerned about having to deal with a double warrior composition. And like Tyrael would be really scary with his judgment, as he could judgment right into the back line and take out Kael'thas. And maybe that's their main concern, or they just don't want to deal with a double warrior composition because they're maybe looking to I don't really know. Either way, there's something about Tyrael that they're not happy about, and they want to make sure they are not going to have him.
Yeah, that's a kind of surprising ban to me. I think that you were on track with the Muradin and thinking about which warrior synergizes well with what they have so far, they being Late Night Legends. But Late Night Legends not yet picking up a warrior. They're going to add to their damage ability by bringing in Vala, who is a face that we have seen. Probably, Gilly and I always make this joke that she's the ultimate wingman, because she's just been there from beginning to end of Heroes as a familiar face in the competitive meta. So not surprised to see her here. But again, we don't have a warrior yet for Late Night Legends. Maybe they feel safe enough that they don't need to pick that up. Maybe they feel like because To Be Determined already has a warrior on their roster, they don't need to ban out any more because they can just pick them up later. So they do go ahead and grab Thrall as a melee assassin. Thrall we have seen here and there, but again, not one of those faces that we would see as often as someone like Illidan or Zeratul, or some of those other melee assassins that can do things that he could. We talked about the usefulness of Sundering yesterday on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but where do you think Thrall might be useful on Sky Temple, Gilly?
I'm actually kind of wondering if he'll choose Earthquake this time and throw it down when they're fighting around those temples, and then he's got some heroes who can then do a lot of damage versus those heroes who are trying to get out of the earthquake and are being slowed down. Or they could pick up Sundering again and then try to just throw them off of the temple if maybe they're trying to just get the last few shots or something like that. Sort of like you would maybe see a false start with a Mighty Gust occasionally, very occasionally do. But they still don't have a warrior yet, so that may be the last pickup unless they're going to run a no warrior composition. They didn't last time, but we did think they were going to.
Right. To Be Determined already does have a warrior, and that's what I thought they might be doing with the Tyrael. They wanted to get the Muradin and a Nubarak. So this is a team that's built around basically keep Kael'thas alive, absorb lots of damage, and scale into the late game, because then he's going to be an absolute monster. And these heroes also can do a great job of taking temples because they can take so much damage. And wow, all right, the non-traditional warriors are coming out again from Late Night Legends. I have not seen that lumpy face in a while. It's going to be Stitches as their warrior.
Lumpy face. Yeah.
Lumpy face.
I'm pretty interested in how they'll make this work, as long as they can actually hit those hooks. They actually have a lot that they can do to capitalize on it. They've got the Feral Spirit from Thrall to stun, or they've got the Hammer of Justice from Uther too. So the idea will be to hook somebody and then immediately stun them, and then during that time Jaina and Vala can start throwing a lot of damage on them, trying to take them out, with maybe even some nice body blocks from Stitches and Thrall as well. But meanwhile, it's going to be pretty difficult because we're going to have To Be Determined set up with a Nubarak and Muradin constantly in front of anybody that they would really like to be hooking. So instead, they'll probably end up grabbing either one of those warriors, and it might be a little more difficult to take them down as they are rather tanky.
We have the game all set up, but it looks like Matt Damon is not quite in the game yet. There's lots of jokes going on about how he is busy filming a movie at the moment, and he'll be right back. Really nice to have such a well-known celebrity on one of our rosters, Gilly.
Yeah, you know, he's just taking a little bit of time off. He just filmed a movie, and he is wanting to enjoy some heroes time in between his next shoot. It's something that we all can understand, as we all have, you know, those times when we're shooting films and then just need a little bit of a break for heroes.
He's just, you know, getting his makeup touched up, as Urameshi is saying. You know, he's just he is a star, you know, so stars have demands.
They do. They really needed a stand-in, like Matt Damon's stand-in, who comes in, holds the spot in the lobby, but then leaves right before.
A body double.
Yeah.
I like that. I think my next, if I make a new Smurf account, it's going to be Matt Damon stand-in. That's going to be my new name. Well, guys, we do have, yet again, some innovation from Late Night Legends, if you can call it that. Of course, every hero in Heroes of the Storm is certainly viable. We just have certain trends about the meta where people expect certain compositions with certain synergies that are really working well right now. Stitches has not been one of those for a while. He was kind of the star of the show a little while back and has been taking his own Matt Damon break. But he's back in the show for this one, and I'm excited to see how it's going to go.
He is back in the show, and we are almost in the game. The load has started. I'm going to hop over to that, and once again, we will be on the Sky Temple. The temple in the sky. The great sandy, deserty temple up above our heads.
Yes, the celestial chapel, if you will.
I will, indeed.
I know you will. You always will, Gilly, and that's what I appreciate about you. Yeah, we are on Sky Temple again, as Gilly mentioned. The objective for this battleground is going to be these temples that you need to channel in order to use them to shoot lasers at your opponents. There are 3 of them, and they spawn in a particular order, so we're going to see teams really paying attention to where they are on the map at the right time. And now the game has started. Let's introduce these teams.
All right, well, in the blue is Late Night Legends with Judge Dredd playing Jaina. Volt going to be on that Thrall. Big Daddy Love will be on Stitches, and that makes a whole lot more sense. Robotic Demon will be playing Uther, and playing Vala will be Hell's General.
Interesting that we did have Big Daddy Love playing support last game, but Robotic Demon is playing it this game. Switching things up for Late Night Legends. To be determined is going to be in red. It's going to be Urameshi on Malfurion. Twitch will play Kael'thas. Dr. Shakalo will play Zagara. Saiths will play Anubarak. And Matt Damon will be on Muradin.
Matt Damon on Muradin. Muradin Damon makes a lot of sense. And we're going to start loading in. Now, you mentioned that the temples spawn in a distinct order. Well, the first 2 temples that spawn at the same time and for the first phase are the top and mid. So we're kind of seeing the teams just placing 1 hero each in the bottom. That's because they, of course, want to be down there to soak the experience from minions. But they really want to make sure that they can rotate quickly and start to grab those temples when they become available. After that, the next temple will be the bottom one. So we'll see some rotations going down toward there as we get close to that temple phase. And, of course, teams will try to pick up some of those bruiser camps up on top too, as they can hopefully have them pushing on top while everyone else is trying to fight on bottom.
We see Dr. Shakalo preempting that bottom temple phase as well by laying some creep tumors that are going to give some vision into that box, as we call it, the doom box, that is so hard to get in and out of. But now, before we have to worry about that, we're going to worry about the middle and top temples that have just now started to spawn. They're going to activate in about 5 seconds.
You mentioned the creep to provide vision, and actually, To Be Determined has a lot of vision potential between that and the scouting drone that Malfurion has as well. So they're going to have a ton of vision around this battleground, and it looks like for now they're going to be content to hold on to this bottom temple. Meanwhile, up top, Late Night Legends have picked up that temple as well, and it looks like for now both teams are okay with trading. Keeping Dr. Shakalo down on bottom to push means that we might see Late Night Legends trying to get a little more aggressive here. They need to make up for that somehow by maybe moving down and trying to take some shots off of this mid-temple, because just trading here is going to go way more favorably for To Be Determined.
To Be Determined has kept some pressure on this top temple as well. We had Matt Damon and also someone else that was up there momentarily, trying to make sure that that none of the members of Late Night Legends come down and try to contest that mid temple, because that's a lot of times what we see with these trades. One will finish a little bit earlier or send some delegates from their team to go try and steal some shots off of one of the temples, but it looks like we will have just an even trade on these two for this first phase. And as you mentioned, Gilly, that means that we do have a level lead for To Be Determined. It's about one level complete in terms of experience.
Yeah, that was a very significant level lead. Already on bottom, the structures here have been softened up for To Be Determined, as Late Night Legends have already lost a tower thanks to that Zagara. One is already halfway down, and even the gate has started to take damage. So if To Be Determined are able to pick up all of that, I missed that, I'm sorry about that, guys. If To Be Determined are able to pick up all of that temple, then they might even be able to take down the fort on top of it, and that would be huge for them. Meanwhile, up top, too, they're also getting a great push done because they were able to take out that Jaina.
Yeah, if you can take down some of these walls and towers, that's just going to be a help to you later when you do go through these temple phases, because there are going to be less buildings for those lasers to go through to get to kind of the meat and potatoes, which are going to be the forts and keeps.
Yeah, and we're seeing Hell's General try to deal with this push, but Sethies and Matt Damon don't really care. They're both pretty tanky. They're the warriors of the comp, and so they're going to be able to stay in here just a little bit longer. They even have Sledgehammer on Muradin, which deals extra damage to structures, and destroys ammo on top of that. So they're totally fine with leaving Imp up here to try to deal some damage, but Late Night Legends should be wanting to get him away from those towers.
Yep, and we will be looking, like you mentioned, at that bottom temple spawning soon. And if you look down here at where Dr. Shokolo has been redecorating his new apartment, there is lots and lots of creep all over. That's going to give some buffs to Dr. Shokolo, but it's also going to give lots of vision to his team. So To Be Determined is going to know exactly where the members of Late Night Legends are in this temple area, which is going to be a huge help to them as that temple now is activating.
Additionally, To Be Determined did a great job of timing out these bruisers so that they'll be pushing on top while the rest of the members are on bottom here. And that is huge because there are not bruisers on the side of Late Night Legends. They didn't pick them up. So if Late Night Legends don't try to pick them up, that's going to get even more of a push going on top here. And they're already down at the bottom. So we're just going to see them staying here trying to stop their opponents from picking up that temple. But now Urameshi is moving in. It looks like Stitches is very low and will go down. Robotic Demon and Vault also taking quite a bit of damage and will have to move back. They're going to have to wait for Stitches to either get back here or they're going to rotate around and try to do damage elsewhere. But meanwhile, the push is here for To Be Determined. They're holding on to the temple, but they're also throwing as much damage as they can onto the fort, which is already at half health.
In the initiation of that little skirmish there, we did see a great hook from Stitches on Kael'thas, which could have been kind of devastating for the front line of To Be Determined, but there wasn't enough follow-up damage instantly to burst him down. He got back behind the warriors and some of the tankier heroes on his team, was able to stay alive, and then Stitches was kind of out there in front, and that was not a great position for him. I also wanted to mention that the Siege Giants were pushing also at the same time in that bottom lane, and just perfectly timed to be wailing on that wall along with To Be Determined as they were fighting that battle. So a huge confluence of good decisions made for To Be Determined around this temple phase.
Yeah, they've gotten so much experience from the structures they've taken down in the bottom lane, as well as the top thanks to those bruisers, which, by the way, are still pushing. But they now have their heroic abilities. They're feeling very confident, are going to come in and pick up these Siege Giants. As far as their heroic abilities, they did get Tranquility and Phoenix, as well as Devouring Maw, Web Blast, and Avatar for Muradin.
I really like AoE type abilities on this map, especially because these fights tend to take place in a small area that everybody wants to stand on. So something like Phoenix can be really great if you're trying to drive people off of a temple channel, or, you know, same thing with Tranquility. You can be healing your entire team as they're battling to stay on a temple.
Looks like Late Night Legends are trying to stop this push, but the Web Blast is going to go down, and immediately the rest of the team moves around it as they are going to try to take out whomever is in this Web Blast. The Malfurion drops Entangling Roots perfectly down, as well as a Gravity Lapse from Kael'thas ensures that Thrall does get taken down, as already we even have the Tranquility coming down. Not even really needed. Everyone's really healthy, but Urameshi just wants to make sure they stay that way.
Yeah, Judge Dredd and Hell's General were poking their damage-heavy faces in there, so there could have been a pick-off if people weren't well-positioned. Luckily, though, for To Be Determined, they managed to put everybody behind that wall and under the Tranquility. Hell's General and Judge Dredd now are left to deal with the bruisers that were captured and kind of stolen from their side of the map.
Big Daddy Love is going to go down. Entangling Roots did hold Vault and Robotic Demon, but they are going to be able to get away safely, and they're just having to sit in their base. They still don't have their heroic abilities. That's a huge problem because they can't really get into any sort of engagement. They haven't even had all 5 members up in a little bit as well, and now we have more temples spawning. We're going to have some mercenaries continuing to push on the side of To Be Determined, but at least Late Night Legends have picked up the heroic abilities. Maybe they'll at least be able to trade out some of these structures here and get one of the temples.
We do see that it is going to be Sundering for Thrall, not Earthquake this time, so looking to just push people out of the way in a line, which can come in handy as well on the temples. Got Divine Shield from Uther, Water Elemental from Jaina, Gorge from Stitches, and Rain of Vengeance from Bala.
So this team really liking that Rain of Vengeance instead of the super strong damage that can be done from the strafe, favoring the damage but plus also the stuns that can come from that. Now we do have Late Night Legends pushing in. This is a really good choice to grab this, and then they can also get the temple, so it doesn't really waste any of the shots. However, the problem is that in this time, Late Night Legends not only grabbed a temple, but also the boss, which is barreling down the bottom lane, as are the rest of Late Night Legends. They've already taken down the towers and the gate. Siege Giants and the boss can now walk straight up to the keep, which is already also going to be taking damage from that temple as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have so many members of Late Night Legends up here on this temple, so many being 2, but they really do need the defense, so we see them one by one going back to try and defend against the boss, which is now going to be hitting the core.
He's hitting the core, and this means that the rest of To Be Determined can be comfortable in trying to take out some more of the structures, as they know that there's not going to be any defense on them as long as that boss is up. And in that case, they are moving in toward this mid-keep. Now the boss is down. They may have to be a little bit careful here. Muradin is not quite here, but neither is Stitches. He just now got back to base, so we are going to see To Be Determined backing off. They're going to be content to keep pushing lanes, picking up some of the other objectives that are left on this battleground, like these Siege Giants.
Yeah, they've done a great job of actually stealing a lot of the mercenaries off the side of the map that typically belongs to Late Night Legends, and that's allowing them to keep push in lanes that they wouldn't have otherwise. Though I will say that there's quite a bit of push in the top lane from Late Night Legends against To Be Determined.
Yeah, they were able to take down that fort and start getting a good push there, so we're going to see a new brat going up to try to push this back a little bit more. I wanted to mention that we did have Ventral Sax pick up for the Zagara at level 7 instead of the Endless Creep, and yet she still has such a great creep spread. It looks like it's gone away a little bit in that bottom, but so far she'd had a really nice creep spread and was continuing to be able to get vision from that. So that's a really great job. That just means that he's really got a good knowledge of Zagara and making sure that he's constantly using those creep tumors whenever they are available, as without that endless creep it's a little bit harder to make sure to cover the map with it.
Yeah, and maybe not as concerned about the vision at this point in the game with the lead that they have managed to get. Devouring Maw does go down, and it will take Thrall out of the action for a little while. That Gravity Lapse will help finish him off. Judge Dredd is now on the run, getting very low. Robotic Demon as well, but it looks like To Be Determined is happy to sit back and just try to take these structures. Zagara does get hooked, but will not be able to be pulled all the way in. Looks like we will have Stitches burned down for his efforts. Robotic Demon is now left to try and defend the core alongside Judge Dredd, but we have full health bars, Gilly, from To Be Determined.
That we do, and they are going after Uther. Even a great impale from a new Brack's going to ensure that they get that takedown. Looks like they are going to rotate around and go for the keep instead, maybe actually just even lead. They're pretty low on their resources, the health and mana, so instead they're going to rotate up. There's another temple that they can pick up, and they can rest assured knowing that their opponents probably aren't going to try to engage here.
Yeah, the temple will help finish the job of clearing all pathways toward that core, and that will make it pretty easy for To Be Determined to just continue to use the resources they have on the map, whether that's mercenaries or the catapults that are going to be spawning, to keep constant pressure on the base of Late Night Legends. And Late Night Legends is not going to be able to be away from their base very long. They're not going to be able to take advantages for themselves.
Yeah, they're really trying to pick up these bruisers, but now even they're going to have to go away here as Matt Damon was coming in trying to push them away from the bruisers. Now Twitch is going to come in, throw down a Phoenix to take it out, and then just move in and say thank you guys for throwing some damage on these bruisers. We'll take it from here. And they do so. That's the nice thing about that Phoenix. It's got a 40-second cooldown, so you can really use it in so many situations. Use it for zoning and different things like we just saw there, because it will be up most likely for the next team fight.
We have 61% left on the core of Late Night Legends, and I think that To Be Determined smells blood. They are ready, and, well, nope, I think they're going to go for these Siege Giants down in the bottom. They want to make absolutely sure that nothing could keep them from victory.
Yeah, they're a little bit hesitant to try to go in and take it out. They are very worried about dying at their opponent's core, and then from there, their opponents could move in. But they've got so many structures up, I really don't think they have anything to fear. They also do have a talent tier above their opponents. But it's always good at this point, if you're not feeling completely sure, you've got plenty of time. The boss actually even spawns in 13 seconds, and with that, they definitely can win the game.
Absolutely. I think that's what they're waiting for. They're counting down from the last 5 seconds till this boss spawns, and they're kind of inviting Late Night Legends to come engage with them here, and it looks like Robotic Demon will RSVP. Unfortunately, he got more than he bargained for. He's going to have to shield himself, but Twitch and Matt Damon are now surrounded by the rest. We do have a Gorge that followed by a Devouring Maw, so kind of a nesting doll situation happened that ends in the death of Vala. Twitch will actually be spit out, and Stitches will fall, along with Thrall. Now we only have 2 members of Late Night Legends left.
Well, Robotic Demon will go down, as will Judge Dredd. Twitch doing a ton of damage, and Urameshi doing a great job of keeping him alive, even when it looked pretty dire for him. And looking at the damage, it definitely shows that he really got that power spike and went with it, as he definitely topped the hero damage chart there. GGs are called, and we will have To Be Determined moving on in the tournament.
Yeah, I think Late Night Legends knew that if they allowed To Be Determined to grab that boss, it was going to be the end of the game. So the effort there was to try to stop that from happening. It was a risky play, as they weren't quite level 16 yet. They were a level behind, and therefore a talent behind. And it would have taken quite a long crawl back to victory from there, but it was the right decision. Well played from Late Night Legends. I love seeing, like we keep mentioning, the creativity and the trying new things. Keep doing that. Maybe you'll find us something new here in the competitive scene, and we hope we'll see you back again, as we do have more NA Opens to go.
Yeah, we've got another one in August as well. Looking at the takedowns and deaths, 14 takedowns on the side of To Be Determined, 0 deaths. So playing a perfect game there. Was not ever getting caught out or anything like that. Really great job for them. It looked dire for that Kael'thas. He would have been the feeder, but good job by Urameshi to keep him alive.
Absolutely. I think that To Be Determined really flexing their muscles a little bit in this match, and I believe we'll be following them into the next series. Is that right, Gilly?
Actually, I don't think so. I think we're going to be moving down.
Oh, that's right.
We're going to be moving down. To Be Determined will be going up against Zevran in the next round, but we will be moving down into the next heat. So the final bottom quarter of the bracket. So we're going to get to see our friends Pandemonium, who have played in lots of different hero type tournaments. They'll be playing against Hog Squirts, so they've returned.
Yay!
So that name's returned. We're going to see them, and then once that kind of feeds up into 2ARC. And we'll be following 2ARC for the rest of the day, guys. Our good friends 2ARC. We always love hanging out with them, so it's going to be a good time. And we'll be following them to see if they can push their way into the round of 8. They've got, it looks like, 1, 2, 3. They would have to win 3 in a row to go into the round of 8 and get to be in the tournament broadcasted from Burbank next weekend.
Well, I'm excited to get to it, guys. We will have just a short break as we set up that next game, I believe. Is that right, Gilly?
It may be longer. That was a pretty fast series, so we could have a little bit longer. What we're going to do is we will check and see what time that next one is supposed to start, and if it's going to be a bit, we'll come back and we'll let you guys know just when we think we'll be starting the next series. But once we get to that, we should be going straight through from there.
Sounds good. I can't wait to do it, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Good games to both teams, and we'll see you real soon.
See you guys then.